Indiana News Desk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana News Desk. Indiana's near-total abortion ban will take effect in 2 weeks, and some question the new law's wording.
So I think it's more of a philosophical and religiously answered question that life might begin at conception, and we need to keep that out of the government.
Abortion rights advocates vow to fight the constitutionality of the law in court. While Monroe County leaders debate how to expand its convention center, Terre Haute and Columbus have forged ahead with plans for theirs.
But we've never been able to offer Terre Haute, and so we're going to bring as many different things and get in on that circuit.
Terre Haute opened its new convention center in April.
And we talk with a political science expert about President Biden's speech last night, saying Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are a threat to democracy.
We'll have these stories, plus the latest news from across the state, right now on Indiana News Desk. Welcome to Indiana News Desk. I'm Joe Wren. President Biden lashed out at former President Donald Trump and the MAGA wing of the Republican Party in a primetime speech in front of Independence Hall last night. Biden says the movement poses a grave threat to democracy.
There's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
Biden's speech comes with Trump under multiple investigations and 2 months before Americans head to the polls in bitterly contested midterm elections that Biden calls a crossroads for the nation. For more on the Biden speech and the state of the country, we're joined by Jeffrey Isaac, a professor of political science at Indiana University. Welcome to the show, Professor.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You wrote a response to Biden's speech last night stating it was perfect. Can you expand on that a little bit for us?
Well, sure. I fully agree with his message, and I think it was very important for him to say what he said when he said it at a moment when I do think it's very clear that that democracy really is under threat. I also thought his delivery was excellent, much better than the typical Joe Biden delivery.
You know, critics on the right say he's labeling half the country as fascist. Do you see his speech leading to more polarizing, or will it be a more defining moment?
Well, first of all, I don't think he used the word fascist in that speech, but he has used the term semi-fascist recently. He was criticizing MAGA Republicans. He very clearly distinguished between that and Republican voters, although he also made clear, rightly in my view, that MAGA Republicanism controls the Republican Party. But, you know, that's not half the country. You know, that's maybe half the electorate, like a quarter of the country, maybe in terms of voters for Trump and Trump-style candidates. So I don't think he was demonizing or othering like masses of Americans. He was trying to be very clear that an ideology and a movement and a leader and certain very specific kinds of convictions are dangerous, not that everyone who votes is dangerous.
Now, how concerned are you about the threat to democracy?
I'm very concerned. I've been teaching about this for years. I've been writing about this incessantly for the past 5 years. I'm teaching 2 courses on the topic now. I've taught these same courses last year and the year before that and the year before that. I couldn't be more concerned. I'm 65. In my lifetime, I believe constitutional democracy in the U.S. has never been more in danger than it is right now.
So this speech, how will it be seen by history? Have other presidents had to speak out so forcefully against a perceived threat to democracy?
The pundits talking about this speech, talk about Lincoln, talk about FDR. And I do think that the moment has parallels to those earlier moments of real crisis before the Civil War, or basically in the period basically leading up to World War II, when there was the danger of the defeat of liberal democracy in the world. So I do think there were moments that were similar to this moment when presidents rose to the occasion and made important addresses. I don't know how history is going to judge this particular speech. I hope that historians can look back and say that this speech really mobilized people who care about democracy to do what is necessary to defend democracy.
Hey, we just have about 30 seconds left, midterms, 2 months away. What kind of impact will Democrats going on the offensive against MAGA wing have?
I'm hopeful, because I think that MAGA wing controls the Republican Party, and this is what Republicans are running on. And by the way, I think he very effectively linked the question of democracy to the question of civil rights and liberties, which include reproductive freedom. And I think the Dobbs decision is going to mobilize a lot of voters. Whatever they think about abortion, strict total bans and cruelty towards pregnant people, I think most Americans don't want to go there.
All right, Professor, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Take it easy.
Well, the battle for reproductive rights of Hoosiers continues with just weeks until Senate Bill 1 becomes law. Things are heating up as college students return to campus, health professionals fight for access to contraceptives, and abortion providers challenge the abortion ban in court. Clayton Baumgarth has the story.
Will come to order. The chair recognizes.
Last month, state lawmakers met in special session to pass a near-total abortion ban. Indiana became the first state in the country to pass new legislation regarding abortions following the overturning of Roe v. Wade. The new law, which takes effect on September 15th, allows for a few exceptions. Abortions are permitted in the cases of rape and incest before 10 weeks post-fertilization, to protect the life and physical health of the pregnant woman, and if a fetus is diagnosed with a lethal anomaly. It's a new reality for college students who are on summer break when lawmakers passed the ban.
I think it's a really bad situation, and hopefully, some legislation could be introduced that could counter some of the effects, but we'll see.
Constituents are divided and also concerned with the wording of the bill. One question raised by students: what exactly does "to protect the life and physical health of the pregnant woman" entail? And where does the line between the church and the state begin and end?
I just think that there's a lot of gray area. Also, I think that we need to keep religion out of government. I think that's kind of the issue here. I think it's more of a philosophical and religiously answered question that life might begin at conception, and we need to keep that out of the government because not everyone believes the same thing.
Indiana University student government has taken steps to support students. IUSG is covering the cost of emergency contraceptives for all IU Bloomington students this school year. Students will be able to pick up Plan B at the Student Health Center free of charge. SB 1 does not address the use and availability of contraceptives in Indiana, even though it's an important piece of the debate on reproductive rights.
In the current state, what we're seeing going on across the country is that access to contraception is a concern, and contraception does decrease abortions.
During the special session, Democratic State Representative Rita Fleming introduced an amendment to a spending bill that would have allowed pharmacists to write prescriptions for contraceptives without approval from a primary care provider. The bill failed in the House by a single vote.
That amendment was something that the Indiana Pharmacy Association supported, and as pharmacists, we are very excited about in the state.
The anti-abortion group Indiana Right to Life has lobbied against allowing pharmacists to prescribe birth control, but Fleming still expects the bill to come back up during the regular session in January. For Veronica Vernon, the amendment would have helped close a coverage gap that's prevalent throughout the state.
We have a significant number of what are called contraceptive deserts. These are locations in the state where it is challenging for women to get access to contraception, or there's no access to contraception, whether that's contraception they can get from a pharmacy, like a pill, or a patch that can be placed on the body, or other forms.
Most recently, Indiana abortion providers have followed a lawsuit against SB 1, claiming that the law violates the Indiana Constitution. The law will limit abortions to hospitals and surgical centers owned by hospitals. It bans abortion clinics. Abortion providers, including Planned Parenthood and Whole Women's Health Alliance, argue the law is discriminatory. Furthermore, they allege the law is unconstitutionally vague. ACLU of Indiana is helping lead the lawsuit. In a statement, Legal Director Ken Falk says implicit in this right is the right for a woman to make medical decisions regarding her own reproductive health. This ban on abortion will force Hoosiers to carry pregnancies against their will, leading to life-altering consequences and serious health risks. Indiana Right to Life is confident the suit won't be successful, saying the state constitution does not grant the right to an abortion and actually states life is an inalienable right. Regardless of your interpretation, IU student AJ Porter says the issue is the ban doesn't reflect what most people in Indiana actually want.
Most people are very moderate on abortion. They're not like super pro-life. They're not super pro-choice.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Clayton Baumgarth.
Now, Kansas put the abortion question to voters in the form of a ballot referendum last month. Indiana Republicans dismissed efforts by Democrats to add a public question on the November ballot. Indiana's largest healthcare system says it's prepared to continue offering legal abortion care after the state's ban takes effect September 15th. IU health leaders say they've spent the last month developing guidance and support for providers and evaluating where abortions might be provided.
All of our sites are prepared for that, and we're determining what's the best access point based on a number of factors for our patients seeking care.
IU Health has also created a 24/7 rapid response team that's prepared to answer provider questions about what they're allowed to do under the ban. We're joined now by Holden Absher for the latest headlines from around the state. Hi, Holden.
Hello, Joe. Bloomington City Council is looking at a new city budget, and it could come with electric scooter enforcement. Bloomington currently has contracts with 3 scooter companies, each paying the city $10,000 per year and 15 cents per ride. Since 2018, that's generated about $200,000 for the city. Now, IU typically impounds 60 to 80 illegally parked scooters each month, but collected more than 200 scooters in August.
We as a city have done a terrible job in enforcing our scooter rules for parking and utilizing scooters on public property.
The city says it's creating a pilot program to study illegally parked scooters and accessibility. The 2023 budget is worth $129 million, up about $22 million from 2022. Now, that proposed budget does not include raises for union members in departments such as utilities and public works. That's because city administration paused contract negotiations several weeks ago. President Bradley Rushton spoke to union members outside City Hall Tuesday to encourage Bloomington administration to resume negotiations before the budget is adopted.
We feel that they're trying to back us into the corner where they go ahead and get the budget hearings concluded, and then whatever they deem necessary to give us is what we will get, either take it or leave it. That's not fair good faith negotiations.
The city administration says it's unsure if negotiations will be concluded by budget adoption in October. An alliance demands the federal government reject Indiana's electric vehicle charging plan due to equity concerns. And as Rebecca Thiel reports, it's also asked U.S. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg to tour places where it says chargers should be placed and see what opportunities it could open for those communities.
The Indiana Alliance for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion for Electric Vehicle Infrastructure and Economic Opportunities says, under the state's plan, few chargers would be placed in racially or ethnically diverse communities. But it's important they get a seat at the table.
The highways tore through the historically black neighborhoods, destroying homes and businesses, uprooting families and community, poisoning the air that we breathe.
Among other things, the Alliance wants the state to commit to placing chargers in racially and ethnically diverse communities and at Black-owned businesses.
United States Secretary Buttigieg has noted the inherent racism in America's interstate and highway systems. A long history, he said, that has not been fully excavated. We agree.
It also wants INDOT to create an equity advisory board and commit to hiring and training a diverse workforce for the EV projects. So far, the group says INDOT hasn't responded to any of its requests. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
The first executive director of Indiana University's new Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology announced he is resigning. Edward Herman attributes his decision to a lack of confidence in the vision of the museum from IU Vice President for Research Fred Cate. The IU MAA plans to open in the fall of 2023. A national search for a new director will be launched soon. City of Bloomington utilities officials say the lake-like taste and smell of drinking water reported by customers poses no threat to public health. The culprits for Bloomington's musty water are two organic compounds, MIB and geosmin. Both are produced by blue-green algae blooms currently present in Bloomington's main water source, Lake Monroe. Hot, dry weather can increase the levels of both compounds. Utilities officials say they can do nothing beyond their current treatment processes to completely remove the taste. Well, that is all we have for headlines this week, Joe. Now back to you.
All right, thanks, Holden. Coming up next on Indiana News Desk. As Bloomington and Monroe County leaders debate a new convention center, they could look to Terre Haute for inspiration. And inmate overcrowding and a lack of resource officers are placing burdens on jails across the state. These stories and more right here on Indiana News Desk.
Wake up.
Wake up to the world.
To the marvels, the mayhem,
the music.
Wake up to the wows, the woes,
the wonder.
Wake up to the commotion, to the beauty,
to the humanity,
to the hope. Wake up every morning, fully awake.
NPR Morning Edition.
Tune in to your local station or download the NPR app.
Your favorite member benefit is getting better and bigger.
This is wonderful.
Over the next year, Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream.
They've given us all that they've got.
From your favorite cooking and travel series.
Even the stairs are breathtaking.
To history specials and award-winning documentaries. Better and bigger.
That really is the fun part.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
Welcome back to Indiana News Desk. For more than a decade, Purdue University has led a program to breed endangered eastern hellbenders in captivity and release the salamanders into Indiana streams. Rebecca Thiel reports a new project will help ensure they have a healthy habitat where they can survive.
Hellbenders are the largest salamanders in the U.S., known for the wrinkly skin on their sides. Because they get oxygen directly from the water, they're very sensitive to pollution, like runoff from farm fields. But farmers can help keep that soil in place through conservation practices like cover crops and planting buffers along streams. Rod Williams is a herpetology professor in Purdue's Department of Forestry and Natural Resources.
We know with talking with our colleagues in the Natural Resource Conservation Services in the southern part of the state, where hellbenders occur, that farmers are eager to implement conservation practices on their farm.
Now, with $2.7 million in federal funding, Williams says farmers will hopefully have the money to pay for things like cover crop seed. And that could benefit farmers, too, by saving money on fertilizer, reducing weeds, and keeping the soil moist.
What this has done is really fill, in my opinion, and the opinion of all of our partners, a really critical conservation piece, which is minimizing sedimentation that's going into the river, while maximizing those attributes of the land that benefit farmers and their livelihoods.
For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
Monroe County and Bloomington leaders have been struggling to expand their convention center, but two other Indiana cities are just getting into the business. Monroe County Council passed a food and beverage tax increase in 2017 to fund the expansion. Other cities are using that form of tax and new funding mechanisms. Terre Haute is using $4.3 million from a recently awarded State Ready grant to help fund a new parking garage. It will serve the convention center and a new hotel.
We're already turning business away at the convention center that they need another couple of hundred hotel rooms, and so that's our next focus and effort, is to get those hotels built.
Terre Haute opened its new $35 million downtown convention center in April. Bennett says the new center gives the city a tool it's never had before.
I think it's great for all of our Indiana communities. People go experience something different, but we've never been able to offer Terre Haute. And so we're going to bring as many different things and get in on that circuit.
Leaders there say new and expanded convention center space in the state won't hurt business.
I think it adds, it adds a lot of value, and I think
with what we've gone through, what everybody's gone through financially through COVID, I think that more meeting planners will start looking at smaller cities because we're more affordable.
Columbus leaders were ready to sign a developer and hotel chain until the pandemic hit. The city recently hired a consultant to see if a hotel conference center makes sense.
The consultant said, yeah, that the world has changed, business travel has changed, but the convention business that we were talking about, the number of visitors and so forth, would still continue to support what we want to do.
Linnup says the consultant also suggested they build it a little bit bigger. He says the report is giving the project momentum. Meanwhile, Monroe County commissioners approved an appraisal for the convention center properties and met Wednesday to hear the city's proposal. The commissioners aren't on board and say the city's proposal to take over the convention center isn't worth much.
And our past colleagues have spent a quarter of a century investing in building up and ensuring the convention center operations. And that's the reason why I would want a CIB.
Discussions are ongoing. A perfect storm of jail crowding and disinterest in law enforcement careers is creating a burden for officers and tension for inmates at jails across the country. Evansville Public Broadcasting's Tim Jagalo has this report from the Vanderburgh County Jail.
Right now, our staffing levels are at a critically low disposition.
It's a crisis that leads to a lot of different challenges for the people, the men and women that are called to do this job.
They're overwhelmed with the number of hours that they're forced to work and the unexpected times that they're called to work. And it's putting a heck of a burden on the entire office. The main function of the Vanderburgh County Sheriff's Office Jail Division is to safely house people while they await a disposition of their arrest. And that can come quickly or it can be a lengthy process. The number one job that we're looking for right now is just the confinement officer that works the floor each and every day.
Anything that goes on in the daily lives of the inmates in this facility, we coordinate as confinement staff.
I am processing inmate property from a fresh arrest that just came in to be photographed and sealed in the property room.
Feeding, clothing exchange, court appearances.
We are at least 25 officers short presently, and that means each and every shift is at least 5 or more officers short.
I've worked here for 5 years and it's progressively gone down, and you see the stress and the turnover increase because of the more difficulty with keeping staff around. Get a little bit more stressed, have a lot of inmates per person.
Challenges are you come into a place where there's a confinement, so you're kind of confined yourself because you're inside a locked up institution. You have people that don't want to be here. You have aggressive people. You have people with substance abuse. You have people with mental illness.
You know, our facility consistently operates over 700 inmates in a capacity that we can really is built for about 550.
Yeah,
Tensions get higher whenever you have more individuals in our care.
Sometimes, like if a girl's really upset, they'll get to hitting on the walls and yelling and have an attitude, and then that affects someone else if they're sleeping and they wake up and get very upset, and that can cause a fight. I think if we do get full staff again, it would stop a lot of the fights that go on and the arguing and a lot of the chaos.
And it's not a local problem. It's across the United States. People just aren't attractive to law enforcement assignments anymore.
Guys, lock down for trades.
They're low on manpower, and I know it doesn't seem like it really affects much of the everyday routine of the jail, but it does affect us.
Get out of here, okay? I got the paperwork.
We're having trouble recruiting applicants. We've changed our hiring practices. We've lowered our standards, and we're still having difficulty seeking, attracting, and hiring new applicants.
Anything else you want to add about staffing here?
There's a lot of good officers here. There's a lot of good deputies. We need more of them.
And the IU football team opens a new season tonight when they host Illinois at Memorial Stadium. There's a lot of unknowns for the Hoosiers, who are coming off a season where they only won 2 games and went 0-9 in the Big Ten.
Probably the most number of new faces, without question, that'll be playing opening night with such a high caliber opponent, and not having any preseason games or anything other than our scrimmages. So yeah, definitely a lot of unknowns.
You know, what are the big unknowns is at quarterback, where either veteran Jack Tuttle or Missouri transfer Connor Bazelak will start. Whoever that is will be facing an Illini team with a game under its belt. Illinois routed Wyoming in its opener last weekend. It's the 3rd straight year the Hoosiers begin their season with a Big Ten opponent.
Definitely advantages to opening with such a high caliber opponent, you know, and a conference opponent. And there's no doubt that that creates so much, you know, positivity towards your program in so many different ways.
That's the end of this program. Our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana News Desk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.